Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, depending upon when you're listening to this podcast. This is Kunal Sog and you have tuned into Chai Time Poetry, the second season of our very own poetry podcast, brought to you by FC Poetry Club, URF, Frowning Clown's Poetry Club. This podcast is specially designed to accompany you when you are enjoying your favorite cup of tea or an aromatic cup of coffee. If you like this podcast, please follow us on Instagram at FC Poetry Club and on YouTube at Frowning Clown. Without wasting any more time and before your cup of tea or your cup of coffee gets cold, let's take our first sip of poetry. In today's episode, I have with me Prathamesh from Mumbai, Sheba from Mumbai and Ayudha from Hubli. They're all set to inspire you with their beautifully written poems. But before we listen to their poems, let's take the first sip of poetry by appreciating a poem written by Rupi Kaur. Her poem, Being Independent, goes like this. I do not want to have you, to fill the empty parts of me. I want to be full on my own. I want to be so complete. I could light a whole city. And then I want to have you. Because the two of us combined could set it on fire. This poem is so powerful and fearless. It beautifully talks about how one must enter a relationship with yourself before anyone else. Because being independent is equally important. And especially in today's day and age, relationships are so fragile. The pressure of society and log kya kahenge is massive. And the times we live in are not very kind. So we all must learn how to be independent and how to live alone. Today I have with me Ayudha from Hubli, who has written this powerful poem that talks about a ridiculous act that unfortunately exists in our society. But she does not pity the victims. She rather empowers them and talks about self-reliance and self-heal. Let me present this powerful poem by Ayudha.
Hear me, you pathetic monster. Hear me well, you poster. Nothing but a cowardly impostor. Your thought created a disaster. Your thought created a disaster. Hear me, you pathetic monster. Just cause you couldn't handle rejection, just cause you couldn't handle rejection, you spread such a deadly infection, changed my complexion and defined my imperfection, changed my complexion and defined my imperfection. How dare you change my reflection in my life, causing an interjection? How dare you burn my freedom? How dare you burn my freedom? Turned me into a demon. So moth-eaten was your wisdom that you threw acid at a random. That you threw acid at a random. Now that face of mine you've spoiled. Now that face of mine you've spoiled, remember, just the face has spoiled. My confidence won't get coiled until you I see on gunpoint. Cover my face with shame. You say, cover my face with shame. Why? Beautiful I am inside out. I'll soar high, make a name. I'll soar high and make a name, or don't you once doubt. Don't you once doubt. I want it delivered, sweet justice. I want it delivered, sweet justice has to stop this madness, making us feel worthless, making us all feel so worthless. Hear me, you reckless. I will still stay flawless. I will still stay flawless.
I want everyone to hear this poem. Through this podcast, I want everyone to know that there is nothing that the people who go through acid attack should be ashamed of. And I want all the acid attack victims to listen to this poem and rise above all. And always remember, you are still flawless. Let's ask Ayudha what drew her towards this topic, or what inspired her to write this powerful poem.
Okay, so the poem is about an acid attack, and it has me placing myself in the shoes of an acid attack victim or an acid attack survivor, and trying to express how the person might be dealing with the internal conflicts, the change of environment, in fact the change of the personality that one has to go through. I was basically very enraged by the way people talk about it, or the way how it is not taken so seriously yet, because I heard once people say that at least rape to nahi hua. I agree and I acknowledge that rape is something very horrific and beyond comprehension, but just because it's not rape, you cannot say to an acid attack victim that at least you didn't have to face that. Acid attack is equally horrendous, equally heinous, and equally painful, or sometimes even more, because the flesh literally burns and a person has to go through so many traumatizing experiences. It's not just an attack on the skin, on the face, but also an attack on the confidence, on the mental health, on the image of a person. Considering the laws and the punishment that our country has is also something that made me feel angry about it, because it is only 5 years of imprisonment and 7 years or 7 years plus a fine. So for changing a person's entire life, you are liable only to a 5 years of imprisonment. So it was something that I really wanted to express about and stage my voice, because I just could not sit quiet about it, and hoping that this message reaches out and that more people, more acid attack victims hear it out, and they know that no matter what happens, they are going to stay flawless, and it all lies in the heart and not in the face. So yeah.
This is so rightly said. More power to you for pushing the envelope inch by inch by writing these amazing poetic pieces. It's so unfortunate that we live in such a society. And the worst thing is that girls and women of this society start doubting and questioning if it's a mistake to be a woman. Today I have with me Prathamesh from Mumbai, who is here with a beautiful poem just on this thought. So without wasting any more time, let's hear this poem by Prathamesh.
क्या लड़की होना गलती है? बातें थोड़ी डीप है कि समाज हमारा ढीठ है। बातें थोड़ी डीप है कि समाज हमारा ढीठ है। औरत तो पैर की जुत्ती, ऐसी हमारी रीत है। कोई जल के मरती है, कोई मर के जीती है। कोई जल के मरती है, कोई मर के जीती है। हर दिन वो खुद से लड़ती है। 4 दीवारों के अंदर वो बस ये सोचती है, क्या लड़की होना गलती है? सांस उसकी घुटती है, रूह उसकी कांपती है। सांस उसकी घुटती है, रूह उसकी कांपती है। वो दर्द तुम समझोगे क्या, जिस दर्द से वो रोज गुजरती है। समाज उस पे तेजाब फेंकता है, समाज उस पे तेजाब फेंकता है। वो चुपचाप उसको पोंछती है। आज भी वो उस अंधेरे कोने में छुप के रोती है। मरने की तो वो 1000 बार सोचती है, मरने की तो वो 1000 बार सोचती है, पर अपने माँ बाप परिवार के लिए खुद को रोकती है। शुक्र है उस खुदा का, शुक्र है उस खुदा का कि मेरी कोई बहन नहीं तो ये सोच के तो मेरी भी रूह कांपती है। जुल्म कोई और करे, जुल्म कोई और करे, फिर समाज बोले इसमें तेरी गलती है, और फिर तुम बोलोगे कि लड़कियां घर के बाहर क्यों नहीं निकलती है। खुद से ज़्यादा तो वो अपने परिवार की सोचती है, खुद से ज़्यादा तो वो अपने परिवार की सोचती है, और उसका परिवार भी उसको ठुकरा देता है क्योंकि लड़की होना गलती है। सच बोलूं तो वो गलती उसकी नहीं, मेरी तुम्हारी हम सबकी है कि आज भी एक लड़की सुरक्षित फील नहीं करती है। क्या लड़की होना गलती है? क्या लड़की होना गलती है? क्या लड़की होना गलती है?
It's such a well written and well narrated poem. It feels amazing to see that a guy has written this poem, that a guy has these amazing thoughts when he knows that एक लड़की होना गलती नहीं है. Let's ask Prathamesh what inspired him to write this beautiful and amazing poem.
मैंने ये पोयम लिखी क्योंकि मेरी लाइफ में कोई था जो ये प्रॉब्लम से फेस कर रहा था, उसकी लाइफ में ये सारी प्रॉब्लम्स थी। मैंने पोयम लिखी थी, फिर बाद में मैंने इसको एक्सटेंड किया जब मैंने प्रियंका रेड्डी की जो स्टोरी थी वो सुनी।
हम सब जानते हैं कुछ ऐसी लड़कियों को जो इन प्रॉब्लम्स से गुजरते हैं। I urge you all to please be their pillar of strength and help them deal with it. And let them know that लड़की होना गलती नहीं है. Because if you don't help them, it might lead them into depression or anxiety attacks. Let me introduce you all to a poem written by Sheba. This poem talks about the cycle of depression and the cycle of anxiety attacks that a lot of people go through. I guarantee this poem will give you goosebumps and will make you reflect on how you deal with depression and anxiety in reality. Let's hear this poem by Sheba.
To whomsoever it might concern, perplexed and perspiring, when I woke up in the wake of the night, feeling stoic and numb, I knew it wasn't the normal you told me it was. When there were creases on the ends of my shirt because of all the tight grips, when I couldn't handle a situation quite well, and they were visible to you, my creases, of course, never my condition. You told me that it's just probably because I sat wrong and that every other clumsy girl goes through it. I knew that it wasn't the normal that you told me it was. When I told you that I fall short of words, when my insides are brimming with them, and I get into this zone out of the blue, and I have no clue what's happening anymore, you told me that it happens to everyone. But deep down, I just knew that it wasn't the normal that you were trying to inculcate within me. When I felt my heart break into a million pieces for no apparent reason, when tears constantly rolled down my cheek without my consent, I used to wail and weep for no particular reason. You told me that it's just a phase and I'm just a little worried and stressed out. I knew it wasn't the normal that you told me it was. When I told you that even when I'm seated amongst my own, they feel like strangers to me, and I feel the strange void within me, and I feel myself getting sucked into this black hole, you told me that it is pretty normal, and you told me to be mum. Shh, don't tell anyone, you said. You told me that it is just a phase, it would pass too. I knew it wasn't the normal that you tried to tell me it was. You told me that I'm faking it and there is no such thing as anxiety and depression, and that everyone has problems of their own, and this is just an excuse to avoid my reality. I knew it wasn't normal. I knew what's happening to me wasn't an excuse and I was not making it up. You told me that such a thing does not exist, but I knew it existed for sure because I was going through it. Anxiety, depression, name it. And I know that today most of you who are hearing me out have experienced it, if not fully expressed it. Haven't we all been anxious at some point in our lives? Haven't we all felt a little depressed at some point in our lives? But what we go through is not the same. We feel so for no apparent reason, out of the blue, and we have no clue what's happening at all. Let's just say I'm a little different from what you define me to be. It's not so important for us to be peas in a same pod. You're not normal, and I most definitely am not abnormal, because who gave you the right to define what's normal and what's abnormal anyway? To each its own. Let each individual be. You needn't poke me and try and inculcate your thoughts and ideologies in me, like I don't try to inculcate mine in yours. But you have no right to look down on me or mock me or not give my condition the same importance as you would with someone who has a physical ailment. If you can't understand me or empathize with me, at least don't poke me. Let me be. I'm different, but I'm me. And I do not intend on trying to be you. I know a day will come when I'd probably feel slightly better than I feel today. A day when I'd probably smile and laugh around for a little while, and that moment, that will just be enough for me. And I know that that will pass too, and I'll feel anxious about that moment too. But I would be conditioned enough to understand myself and help myself. So, dear society, just like I let you be in all your vain and normal glory, let me be in my anxious glory. Anxiously yours.
I swear this poem gives me goosebumps every time I hear it. It's so painfully true that as a society we don't consider depression as a condition. Instead of treating it, we push it under the carpet. Instead of addressing it, we keep mum. Let's ask Sheba what inspired her to write this poem.
What inspired me, if you'd ask me that, I'd say my entire journey. I am a person who's gone through anxiety, who's been depressed. Hell, I still am. It never really goes away, does it? So I know what it feels like. I know how clueless we are at that point. And what baffles me is that it took the death of a celebrity for the entire world to get talking about it as a mental condition. People were preaching and professing out their feelings and telling that a stranger would be there for you when they wouldn't return the texts of their own friends if they'd be in a similar problem. So what inspired me was that I had my family, I had my friends with me when I needed them, and they'd constantly check up on me. And I know that there are many who are not privileged enough to have the same. But even though I had it all, just really talking about it and having the courage to finally speak up about it, to finally vent it all out, really made a positive impact in my life. So I'm really sure that if at least my story could help one other person to come out of his or her closet and just express what they actually feel, and just really vent it out and just rant about it. It could be anything. You are different. You needn't comply to all the rules and the regulations and a particular sort of ideology that they want you to be in. You can just be you. You can speak up. I know that you feel like you don't know what's happening and why it's happening, but I know that it's happening. That's for sure. I trust you. You needn't make others believe that you have a condition. I'll not tell you that it gets better with time, but you will learn to get better with time. You will learn to help yourself and you will learn to see other beautiful things, and it will still worry you. It will still constantly catch up with you, try to pull you back, but you'll survive, just like I think I am. I still am surviving. So if my story can inspire one other person to inspire one other person, just like they say, it's just a little circle and it'll go round and round and round. And that's it. I just don't want anyone else to not feel comfortable talking out about it. If I can, though it took me 3 years to come out of my shell and finally talk about it, if I can, you most definitely can. So that's just it. It's real, it's there, it exists. I know it, you know it, and that's enough. You can vent and get it all out, and life is good. Life will get better.
More power to you, Sheba. I'm so glad that you're talking about it, that you're facing it head on, and you're ready and working towards making a difference. Yes, unfortunately, it took a celebrity's death for all of us to talk about mental illness. But now that we are talking about it, we need to keep the conversation going. And we need more people like Sheba to inspire us, so that we all can deal with mental illness and try and make this world a happy place for everyone. Well, that's all in today's episode of Chai Time Poetry. I hope you enjoyed it as much as we enjoyed creating this podcast for you. Let us know if you like us as your Chai Time companion. Hope to see you again next time with some more amazing poetries and with another comforting cup of tea or coffee. But till then, I urge you to please follow us on Instagram at FC Poetry Club and subscribe to our YouTube channel Frowning Clown because it's free of cost. Please do comment and let us know how you like this podcast, and do not forget to like and share it. And until I meet you next time, please keep smiling and let the clown do the frowning. Bye-bye.